Okay, so what did you say? Last night we counted?
Last time we counted 3.
Okay, let's write the 24th tonight. 23rd tonight, okay? Okay, do you want to go?
Okay. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kidshan b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer.
Amen.
Hayom arba'a yamim la'omer.
Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer.
Amen.
Hayom arba'a yamim la'omer. Then we have to say Harachaman. Harachaman hu yachazir lanu avodat beit hamikdash limkama b'mihira v'yameinu amen selah. Good. So it's that time of the day again when I look at what I've done and see whether it made a difference at all. Now, the part that I'm struggling with the most is actually remembering in the freneticness of the day to focus on these midot, because as a busy doctor in a hospital, and sometimes these things just pass my mind, and before I know, it's the end of the day, and I have lost the opportunity to actually do something. So that's brilliant. That's an example of what we're doing here, because that's how you. If you hadn't been doing that consciously, do you think you still? I think you would have probably just let it go.
Yeah, I probably would have started screaming.
On the opposite extreme, you have what is called Gevurah. So Gevurah heads up the left-hand column. Gevurah is very much the opposite of Chesed. If Chesed is a movement outward, then Gevurah is holding back. It's discipline. It's discernment. It's judgment. It's the ability for a person not to be totally free, but to be measured. If I'm examining my Gevurah status, I'm asking, do I have enough discipline? Do I have enough discernment? Am I too introverted? That's the assessment of Gevurah.
It's like rain. Rain is a thing of chesed, of kindness, but if there was too much rain, it would actually flood the whole earth. So Gevurah is the funnel that stops the flow of chesed from being too much. It's beautiful to work with clay. It's a very healing medium. And especially on the wheel, because on the wheel you really are balancing your left and your right side. To work on the wheel, your left and your left hand and right hand have to be exactly in sync. Otherwise your pot doesn't turn out the way you want it. So it's very meaningful for me to be making pots during the Omer, because I try and balance my left and right side very much. And especially today. Today's Sphira is Gevurah Sheva Gevurah. And that is, Gevurah is a withholding. And not only a withholding or a restraint, what comes out of that is it's a sense of discipline. Gevurah is very much discipline. And this morning I was very careful. I measured my clay, which I don't often do, because I wanted to hold in the measure of measuring and disciplining and control. And it worked really well. My pots, I didn't have any breakages yet. And I feel that meta is flowing through, the discipline within the discipline.
Now, somewhere in between the two of them is what we call tiferes. It's not a compromise between the two, but it's in the middle, sensing that there's a balance over here. Chesed can be extremist. You could be the sort of individual who just goes out there and loves everybody, even the people that it makes no sense to love. The people who are going to stab you in your back as you turn around. It could be the parent who has no discipline for their child because they just love the child too much. Extremism. Gevurah could be very extreme as well. It could be the person who never says a word. You don't know what's going on inside of them. They'll never express emotions. Or they'll never give a bent cent to a beggar on the side of the road because they're just too hot, they're tight. They're holding on to everything inside of them. It can become an extremist form. Tiferes, which is the one that lies in the middle, is what we call compassion. The compassionate person is somebody who is empathetic. It's not just that I give or I share or I do, but I feel what you're going through. So positive compassion is the ability to really be there for them without becoming them, without becoming the victim. That would be the test that we look at in the third week of counting the Omer, looking at the balance of compassion.
One of the English terminologies for tiferet is compassion. And compassion is a virtue that one needs to draw on a daily basis, being a doctor in South Africa today. Compassion for your patients and compassion for the people you work with. We work long shifts through the night. At the end of a 30-hour shift, one still has to treat your last patient as if it was your first. And with the high emotionally charged environment here, this is a good challenge for me over this time, that every week when Tiferet comes up, Tiferet b'chesed, Tiferet b'gvura, Tiferet b'tiferet, how I can try and really work on that. I find this is the perfect opportunity.
Again, David and Dom, I want to hear some more noise, my friends. Give them a power welcome.
Tonight is Shmona Asar Omer, the 18th day of the Omer. But it's not just the 18th day of the Omer. Tonight is Yom HaAtzmaut, the day of independence. This was the day when the state of Israel was born. And the amount of miracles that happened on that day that enabled the Jewish people to capture the land was so great that they unparalleled in history, or they like the other miracles that we've had in Hanukkah and other Jewish festivals. So tonight, certainly in my way of my derech in Judaism, my path, we declare tonight a Yom Tov.
So today's Meda is Hoi Shebotiferes. Today I've been focusing, because it's Friday and I'm getting ready for Shabbos, I'm really focusing on making the beauty, finding the beauty and making the beauty in my home, and doing it in my special way with my creative talents. I'm hoping to express myself in the harmony and beauty of my home. It's wonderful to be working with chometz again, because chometz really rises as matzah didn't. And I'm very conscious these days, it's the 19th day of the Omer, and I'm very conscious about how for 8 days, for a whole aspect of the Sphira, we cleaned ourselves out of ego and arrogance and anything that rises. And I feel that I've been through such a process of purity in that way. And the aim isn't to be in that space all the time. The aim is to take that purity and chometz-free environment, and from there to actually move towards where we're going.
People need to be guided to relate these abstract concepts to the real situations of their own lives. We're lucky today because people have done that. They've actually put it together in book form, and they've given you some leading questions, and it's available. You can even go onto the internet and you can find it online, where there's some sort of a guiding system to say, okay, right, today this is what we're doing. Now think about this. These are 3 questions to answer, or 3 questions to ask yourself. That will help you to relate this practically, because it's useless to us if it just flies up there in some sort of a spiritual atmosphere and doesn't actually filter down into me and my life and you and your life.
That should be delicious. I understand that the world was created in duality, the same way that there's a male and female. There's matter and spirit, there's heaven and earth, the sea and the land, the soul and the body. It's everything in the world is created through duality. And the work is actually finding a place where the 2 opposite sides actually come together. So I believe that it's very important to eat fresh foods, to eat healthily, to cook at home, exercise. I think that it's very hard to be emotionally healthy if your body is depressed and not functioning at optimal energy. For myself, I know that when I'm playing squash regularly and I've got energy to move around and to do what I want. I don't want to be in a space where my body's too tired to do what my mind and my soul want to be able to achieve. For me, living a balanced life is if I'm hearing the voice of my soul. Because that's quite hard to do in the way we live today, because the voice of the body is incredibly loud. For me, the balancing is in being quiet enough and having time to pray and time to learn and time to engage with others in a way where the qualities of my soul are actually coming out. But it's about bringing to a middle place, like the Sefirot, taking the two sides and actually finding a balance between them. That's really the work of what we're doing here. It's where your body and soul can live in harmony without living an unhealthy life.